This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Maybe we can
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place
hear
where
him?
fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send us an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. Our website for the radio show and TV show is xzoneradiotv.com. And to find out all about the great programming we have available for you, 7/24, 365 on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. And don't forget, the X-Zone is also heard on the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, across Europe on Radio X, and now on RNN Radio Network, the Angel Broadcast Network, and of course, our good friends with iHeartRadio. Our guest this hour is MaryJo Pfister. She is the Code Lead Investigator, EVP Specialist, and Case Manager for Off the Trails Paranormal Investigations in Florida. She is the lady that, along with her better half or her co-partner, co-lead investigator, I don't want to get myself into that trouble again, is Greg Bush, and they put on a great event called the Para-Unity Conference. And, you know, it's about time that people started realizing that it takes unity in order to do what so many professional and ethical investigators within the paranormal community are trying to do, and it took MaryJo and Greg to pull it off. And guys, welcome back to the X-Zone.
Oh, well, that was quite an intro. Thank you so much.
You know, intros are easy when they're the truth.
You're going to spoil me.
Hey, listen, you two pulled off something that people have talked about for years, but you actually did it. And the fact that you did it goes to show what kind of people you are. You talk the talk and you walk the walk. And you
we
know,
have a lot of help too.
well, yes,
Lots of help.
but it was your idea, your seed. And yes, you did have a lot of help, and everyone who helped you deserves, you know, the accolades that go into this event that you're now bringing on to the second year on August the 18th, 19th, and 20th. You know,
Right.
I've listened to Larry Lawson's show, and he gives you and Greg great accolades, and so do the guests, because everybody agrees it's about time that people have to work together. We have to unite if we are going to succeed in doing what we are trying to do, and that is investigate the world of the paranormal and bring proof and evidence to the table that it is real and life surpasses death.
Absolutely. And even if your motivation is something different than getting to the truth, if you want your TV show or whatever, it still is going towards you have to have that truth
Yeah.
to make it valid.
And once again, I've said this with you in person when I had the pleasure of meeting you in February, that in my opinion, everyone has a piece of the jigsaw puzzle to life. And within that jigsaw puzzle is the solution, and every mystery is uncovered. But what we have to do is bring everybody to a table. Everybody takes out the piece of the jigsaw puzzle. We put our pieces on the table, and together we work on the puzzle. And this is something that you and Greg started with the Para-Unity Conference.
Well, it's something absolutely that we need to do. And groups that don't want to share, they're so concerned about keeping whatever evidence they have to themselves. They're also blocking themselves out of being part of this jigsaw puzzle. Yeah, they've got one piece, but then there's people with a lot of other pieces, and they all have to fit together to get to where we want to be.
But isn't it a win-win situation no matter who just makes the smoking gun discovery?
Oh, absolutely. We're all doing this. And so whatever steps we're taking and Larry's group is taking and all the other groups are taking, it's all going to the same point.
And what is that final point in your opinion?
And the final point is to prove that there is life after death, that there is a paranormal, and that we can use this as an actual science. It's not just going to be a parascience. We're not going to be in the research stage. It's going to be an actual science.
MaryJo Pfister is my special guest of this hour, Exonation. MaryJo is the co-lead investigator of the Off the Trails Paranormal Investigations in Florida, and their website is www.offthetrailparanormalinvestigations.org. And we'll be back with MaryJo on the other side of this break as we continue investigating the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Hello, I'm Pete Marsh. With my daughter Justina, we will be presenting the new radio show, Too Good to Be True. If something seems too good to be true, it usually is. But with the help of Justina's amazing gifts, we're going to gain insight into questions that don't yet have complete answers. Have you wondered who built Stonehenge and for what reason? Why are crop circles found in the same region as Stonehenge and elsewhere? Are crop circles a hoax, or are they created with technologies that we have little knowledge of? Who built the pyramids in Egypt and also in other countries? How and why were they built? Was the Titanic switched with the Britannic as part of a gigantic insurance fraud, or for more insidious reasons? What caused the Tunguska event when trees were flattened over an 800 square mile area in Siberia? Will the new insights be too good to be true? Well, that will depend on what you are prepared to believe. Please join us as we start on this journey together. For more information on Too Good to Be True, visit www.xzbn.net.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Welcome back, everyone. MaryJo Pfister is our special guest. www.offthetrailsparanormalinvestigations.com. They also have a Facebook page. Check it out at facebook.com/offthetrailsparanormalinvestigations. Last time you and I talked, you guys were just getting ready to do an investigation at a hotel, I believe.
Yes.
How did it go?
Yes, we did. It's the Gulfstream Hotel in West Palm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a pretty active site. It's been abandoned for quite some time, and it's in pretty bad condition. But they had brought in a movie crew and did some sort of horror movie there, and drew some pentagrams and things like that in the building. We got some interesting EVPs.
What was the significance of the pentagrams? Do pentagrams have any significance? Are they just symbols, or do they play an active part in bringing in the negative paranormal activity, or do they open up a gateway to the other side?
Well, the Satanic cults use that as a way to open up a door, and a lot of witch covens will also use the pentagram as a way of communicating with the other side. So it's not inherently evil by itself, but I think it's the intent that it's used with.
Is it fair to say that everything is based on the intent? For example, candles, a negative intent, if the intent is negative, will manifest negativity. Positive will manifest something that is positive.
I think that's a very fair evaluation. So much of what we do is the intent with which we enter the action. And so somebody sitting around a pentagram with the candles hoping to bring some sort of negative energy in the room, that's probably what they're going to do. Somebody who doesn't have that intent, who is just trying to talk to a spirit of the building, I don't think that's necessarily going to bring in anything negative.
Do spirits want to communicate with people on this side as much as we want to communicate with them?
Well, I think mostly, yes, they do. I think that's one of the reasons why so many homeowners find things going on, things flying off of their counter, and lights flickering on and off, and items are missing. And I think it's the other side, the ghosts, the spirits that are trying to get your attention. And when you want to tap somebody on the shoulder and they don't pay attention, and then you hit them a little harder, and then you grab them by the arm and shake them, and the next thing you know, you're grabbing them by the shoulders and saying, "Hey, I'm here, I'm trying to talk to you." And I think that's why sometimes the activity ramps up. we're not always hearing what they're trying to tell us.
How long was the investigation at the hotel?
Oh, we were there probably 4 or 5 hours.
And what kind of EVPs did you get?
We got a little girl's voice. So there's supposed to be a little girl there. And then we got a man's voice saying some things that weren't particularly nice to a group of women in the room. So the man was there, the little girl was there, and some of the EVPs were very clear. We were sitting in the one room, it was with the pentagram room actually, and I asked, if you know who's here, would you say some of our names? And the spirit said my name, MaryJo. It said Sandy's name, and she was there. And it said Christine, but Christine wasn't there. But Laura was, and Laura and Christine do have some similarities. So maybe he mistook one for the other. But I think it was really interesting that he pinpointed Sandy and I.
I was speaking to somebody earlier today on another segment, and I asked them if they thought it was all right to provoke and be disrespectful to spirits. And I was surprised by their answer. They said, whatever it takes to get a reply.
Oh, my. Okay, I'm not going to agree with that person at all.
Yeah.
We're not the provoking type. We do go in with respect. You don't know who's in there with you.
Right.
And it could be a little kid. And so you're screaming and yelling at this little 5-year-old boy. You don't know that. It could be somebody who is really violent and will do whatever it takes to get you back for being disrespectful to him. So until you know who you're speaking to, I think it's best to go in with respect, to not provoke.
You know, there was a show, and I can't remember the network, where they actually did an investigation with a demonologist in the house where the Exorcist story originated in St. Louis, and they used provocation and a lot of, in my opinion, negativity in these cases. And isn't that playing with fire?
I think so. As I said, you don't know who you are provoking, and especially if you have reason to think that there's a demon in the building. Demons have been around a lot longer than we have, and they have a lot more strength and wiliness than we do. I do not want to go up against a demon. I would not go in and try to provoke the demon, because chances are I'm not going to be the one who wins.
Do demons feed off negativity and fear?
Oh, I think they absolutely do, Rob. Demons are negative. They're negative energy, and they've never been people. So the negativity, they want to scare people. They want them to be in fear. I think that is food for them.
Wow. Do you come in contact with a number of demons doing the investigations that you do, or is the interaction with the demon rather rare?
It's rather rare. Most places that we have been, in fact, probably 99%, have not been demons. And sometimes people think it's a demon because the activity is frightening them. But it could be that this person is just not a nice person. As you are in life, I think so you are in death. And if there is a violent or vicious spirit in your house, you're going to get violence and negativity, and they too will feed on that.
Have you been to Waverly Hill Sanitarium?
Sure have.
Apparently that place is very, very active. I haven't been there, but I've heard people talk about it over the years. And my question is, why do these spirits put up with the people who go there? Why, if I was a spirit and if I kind of figured, well, geez, the reason why these people are coming here is because of our action, why don't we just all be quiet, go to another floor and no activity and they'll stop bothering us.
I kind of wonder myself, maybe they enjoy the attention.
Maybe, eh?
Maybe that's it. And sometimes we go in and I wonder, with the standard questions that groups ask, aren't the spirits getting bored with the same questions? What's your name? How long have you been here? How old are you? I think so many times those are the standard questions and they get asked over and over again, and maybe they're just really bored with the whole situation, and that's why they're doing other things. They want some type of other recognition.
For the listeners who may have not heard you before with the new networks and stations we have coming on board all the time, where, in your opinion, is the most haunted place that you, Greg, and your team have investigated?
That's really a tough question. There was one private home that we went to that was very active with poltergeist activity. But as far as ghosts and spirits, I would say Rolling Hill Sanitarium in upstate New York.
Wow, what did you guys find there?
Oh, we saw shadows. We got some clear EVPs. Some of them were from one of the nurses that had been there years ago. We had an incident where there was a little teddy bear sitting by the window, and they went by, not me, but a couple other people on the team went by, and the teddy bear was sitting in the window, and when they came back, the teddy bear was on the floor. And so when they went to pick up the teddy bear and put it back in the window, there was a car outside with several young men standing around. And when the young men saw the team looking out the window, they jumped in the car and they ran away. So I think maybe it was the ghosts protecting the sanitarium from what they knew these guys were going to do.
When ghosts are seen, the apparitions are seen,
right.
Do they always wear the same clothes?
I don't know. It would seem so, because there's so many stories about seeing the woman in white or the woman in gray or the soldier. So it would seem like many of them do that, and maybe it is their way of being recognized as who they are. But I don't know that all of them are like that. I don't know.
Here's a real strange question that I got asked the other day, and I knew you were coming on tonight, and I said, all right, I know who to ask this question to. Is it possible that ghosts have a shelf life, that there's only a certain time that a ghost can actually remain in this dimension, this reality?
That's a really good question, and I'd like to know the answer myself. There are so many sightings of ghosts from hundreds of years ago, and people are still seeing them in places like the Tower of London and the White House. People keep saying that they see Lincoln's ghost there. And so many other places where for hundreds of years it's been the same story, the woman in white or the sailor that's standing on the seashore. So if they do have a shelf life, I don't know how long it would be, and time isn't the same, I don't think, on their side as it is on ours.
Yeah. I can see the significance of President Lincoln's ghost being seen in the White House. I can certainly see the other great presidents in the White House, because they went through a lot of different emotions in the White House. JFK and just to mention a few. I wonder if Donald Trump's ghost will be haunting the White House.
Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see after Donald passes on.
I wonder if his hair will be that. What color would you say his hair is? Blonde?
Oh, you're going there.
Oh, all right. Never mind. Well, I won't go there. Let's stick to the paranormal instead of the parahuman. Okay, you and I have to take our break. please
All
stand
right.
by, Exonation. My very special guest this hour is MaryJo Pfister. She is with Off the Trails Paranormal Investigations. They are in Florida. Their website is www.offthetrailsparanormalinvestigations.org. And MaryJo and Greg are the organizers of the Para-Unity Conference that is going to be held in Fellsmere this August 18, 19, 20. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about this great event. Whatever you do, Exonation, don't go away. And don't forget, check out the programming availability of the X Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net.
Dreams are our personal gateways into infinite wisdom. Don't miss shamanic counselor and indigenously trained dream decoder Sandra Corcoran's inspiring book, Shamanic Awakening Between the Dark and the Daylight. This remarkable work chronicles Sandra's 35 years of experience with diverse wisdom keepers and her initiations throughout the Americas and across the British Isles, Turkey, Greece, and Egypt. Sandy's knowledge of symbology, psychology, and myth influence her dream blog and workshops. Sandy offers private tarot readings, international journeys, a meditative CD, as well as her book, Shamanic Awakening, to encourage you as you navigate this earth walk, creating a deeper connection to yourself and all that is. Find this and more at Sandy's website, starwalkervisions.com.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Hello, I'm Justina Marsh, and with my dad Pete, we are going to present a new show called Too Good to Be True. Together, we are aiming to discover more truths about this world and beyond. Do you have unanswered questions about the world? Do you ever wonder about aliens, conspiracy theories, or the universe? There are many shows discussing subjects such as pyramids or UFOs, but we want to relay this information based on our own research, including from spiritual means. Hopefully, listeners will be helped with their own beliefs and will appreciate the psychic insights that add to the previous research and information. We both look forward to sharing this insight and beginning this journey with our listeners. Visit xzbn.net for more information about when to listen.
Exonation, MaryJo Pfister is our special guest this hour. She is the co-lead investigator with Greg Bush of Off the Trails Paranormal Investigations in Florida. Their website is www.offthetrailsparanormalinvestigations.org. They're also available on Facebook. August 18, 1920, this year in Fellsmere, Florida, the second annual, I guess we can call it, Para-Unity Conference. What do you have on taps for this year?
Well, we've got some great speakers lined up, and some of them are local people, and we do want to bring in some people from out of the area as well. But we are looking for sponsors to help us with that. Some people who are willing to spend some money in return for some publicity, because we'd be glad to advertise.
Now, I understand you're expanding the Para-Unity Conference to include other realms within the paranormal community. When I was there earlier this year, it was predominantly ghost and spirits. So how are you expanding it in August?
Last time it was, but we did have Rob Robinson there, and he talked about how he is the legend tripper and spoke about Nessie and Bigfoot and skunk ape and creatures like that. This time we're having the MUFON come in and talk about flying saucers and aliens and those possibilities.
What's your take on UFOs?
Well, I definitely am open to it. I don't think we're the only ones in this entire universe, this entire galaxy. So yes, I think there are intelligent creatures other places, and maybe they have advanced to the point where they're able to come here and observe us.
Have you ever seen a UFO or something that you believe could be a UFO? And I'm not talking about an experimental aircraft. I'm talking about a UFO from Zeta Reticuli.
Well, I did see something that I can't explain, and I was sitting in a friend's backyard, and we were sitting there talking, and this was 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And all of a sudden, something flew by. It was not a bird or a bat. It was not moving wings at all. It just flew by, and I jumped up and said, "What was that?" and went to look, and by the time I got to the end of the porch, it was gone. I couldn't see anything. So whether that was a UFO or what, I don't know, but it was not a bird, it was not a bat, so I'm not sure what it would have been.
It wasn't a bird, it wasn't a plane, it wasn't Superman, right?
No, it wasn't Superman. He was way too small for that. This was a small, maybe the size of like a serving platter.
Wow. Now you live on the Space Coast, right?
Well, we live on the Treasure Coast.
All right, all right. The Treasure Coast would be the...
That's Vero Beach,
right.
Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce, right?
Right. But you're not that far from the Cape Canaveral.
No, but this was not here. This was in North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina.
Yes, this was in the mountains of North Carolina.
There's a lot of strange things that are seen in the Blue Mountains and the mountains of North Carolina.
Yes, there are, and a lot of stories come out of it as far as little people,
yes,
leprechaun-sized people. There's a lot of different stories up there.
The wee folk.
The wee folk.
Yeah. Besides investigating ghosts and spirits, is your team going to be getting into other aspects of the paranormal to investigate? Or are you just going to focus on one and be strong in that one?
No, we're focusing now on the ghost aspect, but certainly if we would have an opportunity to investigate something else, we would. There was a case that we went on some years ago where a man claimed that there was UFO activity in his house and on his property. And we did investigate, and there was some really strange things that went on in that house that I cannot explain.
UFO activity in his house?
In his house and on his property.
Could you share some of the story behind the UFO in the house? I've never heard that before.
Well, he says that there are UFOs and aliens that are coming through the house and through the property. And we had a motion detector camera set up in one of the rooms, and it kept readjusting as though the wall was coming out and going in, sort of almost as though the wall were breathing.
So you had the lens set on autofocus.
Right.
Okay.
And it just could not focus. It kept going back and forth, like it was focusing on the wall, but the wall seemed to be moving. There was another group that was there before us that said in the swimming pool they had cold spots and hot spots, that they would have, for example, 72 in one spot, move it over a couple of feet, and it would be 90, move it a couple of feet, it would be 50. So all these things that were going on in his house, and there were definitely some ghosts there, just all the things that were going on, it was really baffling and very compelling.
Why do you consider compelling?
It's compelling because it was so out of the norm that something definitely was going on there. I can't say exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But we actually went there twice.
Wow.
And still cannot figure out what it is, but this man's house definitely has something going on.
Were any other teams able to come up with other evidence that you could have worked with to come up with a solution, or has this still remained a mystery?
It's still a mystery. He's had other teams in there, but none of us have been able to figure it out.
If you were to expand your investigations to a different aspect of the paranormal, besides ghosts and haunting, what would it be?
Well, I would be very interested in time travel or parallel universe. I think the theory of parallel universes is really fascinating. Maybe there's another Rob in some other world.
God help that poor world.
There could be, or could be another me in another world. And are we doing exactly the same thing, or is it just something totally different, or is just a slight variation? It's just fascinating. And I'm actually reading a book. I think it's called In the Blink of an Eye, which is the theory that you could go back in time, but maybe only a second. And would that really have any relevance on the future? Could you change anything in that second? And I think that's really a great question.
I've often wondered that very question, and when I've had people on the show who have done time travel or claim to have done time travel or remote viewed past and future, what are the chances of them bringing back just that little bit of information that if they were to implement it or work towards it, how would that affect the future?
And you're talking sort of like the butterfly effect?
Yes.
Yes. And one little thing and it starts a ripple. Just one little incident, something so insignificant that you wouldn't even think about it, but couldn't it change the future?
I think it could. How about you?
I do too.
A lot of people are reporting more and more contact with those on the other side in dreams these days than ever before in history. Any ideas why?
Possibly because this is becoming more mainstream, and the idea of those who have passed coming to you to tell you things in dreams is becoming more accepted. I've had people tell me, friends of mine tell me that they've seen somebody in a dream who's come to tell them something. A parent, a grandparent, a friend. And sometimes it's to come and tell them that I'm saying goodbye because I'm dying. Sometimes it's been to tell them to forget about something that happened, to forgive and to move on.
So they're coming not only to bring messages, but to bring comfort.
I think so. There's so many possibilities. I mean, if you were dead and a ghost and you could travel around and see different people, there probably would be messages that you would want to give to different people that you held dear.
True. The messages that people are receiving when you do your investigations, are the messages the same, or is each and every case totally unique?
I would say it's mostly unique because there are the comfort messages. There are the messages saying that I've passed on and I just wanted to say goodbye. And then there's messages that people can't seem to decipher. They don't understand what that person is telling them. They're there and they're saying something and they can't quite figure it out.
In your opinion, is there something people on this side of the veil can do to better understand, hear, or interpret the messages that those from the other side are trying to give them?
I think if you're open, try to open yourself to it and accept it, and then maybe think about what might have prompted that, what happened today or yesterday or last week that might prompt that visit, or is there something going on within the family that would cause somebody to come back? We have done a couple of cases where a family member has passed on due to drug abuse, and there's drug use within the family, and the message seems to be, stop it. This is not good for you. You're going to end up like me.
What about...
And I think,
I'm sorry, go ahead, dear.
I think that's really interesting. I think that it's very generous of the person who's passed to come back and try to help this family.
That truly is. Is it harder for you to do an investigation when there's a child spirit involved instead of an adult spirit?
It can be, because if the child is sad or scared, yeah, that does affect me. But there have been times when the child spirit seems to be really happy where she or he is, seems to really like that spot. And so maybe it's okay for them to be there. If they're not happy there, yeah, we're definitely going to try to pass them along and move them on and get them to cross. But maybe they're really happy there. Maybe that was the spot.
Whoa, Craig.
Whoa.
Well, I think he's trying to get a point across here that we've got to take a commercial break.
All
right.
Shut up.
No, it's all right. He scared the heck out of me, too. XO Nation, MaryJo Pfister is our special guest. www.offthetrailsparanormalinvestigations.com is the website. And we'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue. I'm sorry, it's .org, not .com, .org.
.org.
offthetrailsparanormalinvestigations.org. And MaryJo and I will be back as we wrap up this hour here in the XO from our broadcast center. We're in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Hi everyone, Rob McConnell here, and I wanted to spend a moment on internet streaming. Everybody has heard about internet streaming, but not many know much about it. Did you know the internet streams just about everything?
Movies.
From new releases to old classics.
TV shows.
Almost every show, every episode, and much more. But the question has always been, how do you do it? Well now, thanks to the folks at 123 Ready TV, I have the answer for you. They have developed a simple program app, 123 Ready TV, that you install on your Windows PC, Android smartphone, or Android tablet that can have you streaming like a pro in less than 5 minutes. You truly won't believe how much is available or how easy it is to do until you try. And for a one-time cost of only $19.99, this product is a real winner. To learn more about 123 Ready TV, visit our website at www.xzbn.net.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A Soul Balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world. There's a legend shared by many indigenous cultures of a time when the nations were cast to the 4 corners of the world. Each nation was given a body of sacred knowledge that held a different portion of the truth to preserve. True reality could not be known until all the nations reunited, combining the information. If a single one was missing, the world could not be reborn and darkness would prevail. The Science of Magic Radio is dedicated to reuniting the sacred knowledge. With the understanding, none of us has all the answers, but together we can open new perceptions and possibilities. Through our combined vision, the world can be reborn into a place where darkness no longer prevails. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic daily on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, or visit us at thescienceofmagic.net.
X-Zone Nation, MaryJo Pfister is our special guest this hour. Jerry was the engineer who was working with us earlier tonight.
Yeah, we're just interchangeable.
Oh, let me ask you this question. That brings up a very interesting point. When you're out on an investigation, have you or any other member of your team ever been used by the spirit? Have they ever taken your body? Have they ever, what are they called, walked in?
Or channeled?
Yeah.
No, that has not happened. With a medium, yes. We've had a medium who has let that happen to her. But as far as our regular investigators, no. We have not had that happen. I would not want that to happen. Again, we don't know who's trying to come through.
Right.
And it could be somebody very nice, very benign, but then again, it might not be somebody like that. So.
Throughout your years as an investigator, has there ever been an investigation that you've been able to conclude that the activity that you have investigated has been perpetrated by the use of a Ouija board.
Yes. Oh, yes. And I don't advocate the Ouija board, and I know it's a lot of intent. We did do a case once where there was a lot of darkness in the house. The family was fighting. The woman was depressed. Nothing had been happening, and all of a sudden all this started happening. And I asked her about the Ouija board, and she said no. And we talked a little bit longer, and I said, and you've never used any type of Ouija board? And she said, well, yeah, well, just a homemade one. Well, that's a Ouija board.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is what brought all this into the house. And there was a dark shadow that would crawl up the wall and on the ceiling, and we actually did see that. And I asked her what she did with it, and she said, oh, she tore it up and threw it away then, once she had used it. So the theory, I guess, with Ouija boards is you have to have the same Ouija board to get the spirits to leave the house. It doesn't work with another Ouija board. I'm not really sure how that works because I don't use the Ouija board.
Right.
But her making that Ouija board is what brought it into the house and caused all kinds of problems for her, her husband, and her 2 teenagers.
So what should people do if they find that one of their children is experimenting and they've decided that, the Ouija board is a toy? I'm going to play with it.
And I think a lot of us have done Ouija boards as kids because you don't realize when you're 10, 12, 15 years old what really is going on. I just always tell people, don't bring the Ouija board in. I know some people who are investigators use it.
Really?
Yes, and that's them, and if that's what they want to do. We don't. There's too much of a gamble when you open that door.
But you and I were talking about intention. If the intention during the use of the Ouija board is positive, does it still pose as big a threat?
Well, I always tell my clients, it's like you open the door because you're expecting your neighbor from next door to come in for coffee. And the door's open, and people passing by your house see the door's open, and then what do you do when 4 or 5 people wander into your house? Yes, you can close the door, but the people are now in your house. So how do you get rid of them if you don't want them?
So the damage is already done.
Right. And I know that there are a lot of people who have used Ouija boards many times, and they've never had any complications. So it may not happen all the time. I don't think it does. But there's just that one time. It only needs to happen once.
That's right. That's right. What has been the scariest thing that has happened to you or a member of your team during an investigation?
Oh, wow, the scariest thing. Well, the time that we were up in Rolling Hills, and we were on the break, and 2 of the team members had gone outside, and all of a sudden they were saying, come down here, come down here. And we could see the flashing red and white lights of police cars from where we were. And we went running outside, and they were just standing in the field. And I said, where's the cops? What do you mean, cops? Well, we saw the cop cars out there, the red and white lights. And the woman who had the asylum, she said, oh, well, that couldn't be here because we don't have those lights on police cars. And that was kind of scary. That was definitely scary. And trying to think of anything else that was really scary.
And this was at Rolling Hills.
This was at Rolling Hills, absolutely. That building is so full of activity. Nothing else that was really scary happened there, but that was kind of frightening. And the reason that they had called us out there was because they heard this horrible noise outside, and they couldn't figure out what it was. And by the time we got out there, the noise had stopped. So what it was, I don't know. Oh, there was one other incident where we were at Mansfield Reformatory, and one of our investigators wanted to come back with us, but she wanted to stop in the ladies' room, and we waited for her, and didn't see her. I called for her. We didn't hear her. There was 3 of us standing there waiting for her. And finally, we decided she changed her mind and wasn't coming, and said, okay, we're just going to go ahead without her. And suddenly she was right in front of me saying, "You're not funny. That's not a joke." And she had been standing maybe 6 feet away from us, and none of us saw her.
Oh my gosh.
None of us heard her. That was scary.
Any idea?
Because she's my daughter.
Wow. Any idea on how that can happen?
There's the veil, and somehow the veil had come between her and us. She could see us and she could hear us.
Right.
She thought we were playing a trick on her. But the 3 of us standing there didn't hear her, didn't see her at all. And when she was suddenly in front of me, I didn't know what to think. I was really startled because I thought she was still in the other room.
Unbelievable.
Yes, so that was pretty scary.
What do you suggest, or what's your words of wisdom to people who tonight listening to you want to become paranormal investigators, like you folks at the Off the Trails Paranormal Investigations? What should they do?
Okay, good for you. I'm really glad that you want to do that. Do some research and find out what type of equipment there is, find out the types of methods. Never go by yourself. Always have somebody with you for safety, of course, and also for validity. They can back you up if something happens, and it's not just your word. I would say maybe shadow another group so that you can get some ideas on how to do the investigation. Get a couple pieces of equipment, an audio recorder, a camera, a flashlight. You can start with that. You certainly don't need to go out and spend a couple $1,000s on equipment. That can all come later. But I would say definitely get some research, get a partner, and get some experience before you set out on your own.
What should their starting point be? Should they go to a local cemetery? Should they go to a local haunt, so to speak? And, of course, I would imagine they should always get permission before they go anywhere.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Do not trespass. The police will show up. And I would suggest that they do some public venues, sort of a tour at a couple of the bigger places so that they can get a feel of how different groups are working. And then, yeah, absolutely, if you want to go to a cemetery or a public, an abandoned building, but ask. There's always a lot of places you can go, but never go by yourself and never go without getting permission.
We've got about a minute left, MaryJo. What are your final thoughts for the X Zone Nation? What would you like to tell them tonight?
Oh, I would like to tell everybody that there is life on the other side. We just need to prove it. And if we could all work together towards that end, it would be something that we could all take credit for.
So teamwork, para-unity.
Absolutely. Teamwork, para-unity, cooperation, that's it.
MaryJo, where can people go to find out more about the Para-Unity Conference this coming August 18, 19, 20 in Fellsmere?
Well, we have a Facebook page. It's called Treasure Coast Para-Unity. And if they go there, they can find out what's going on. We also have discussions, so they're welcome to participate in any discussions. Different people are putting things up. What's your bucket list for going to investigate, and things like that. So come to the webpage.
The webpage or the Facebook page?
I'm sorry, the Facebook page. Yeah, Treasure Coast Para-Unity.
MaryJo, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Hopefully next month when you join us, Greg will be able to join us.
I hope so.
But keep the good work up, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Always a great pleasure. And Craig, you did it again. You scared me, you son of a gun. Talk about ghosts, get a big bang. I was like, okay. MaryJo Pfister is our special guest this hour, Exonation. www.offthetrailsparanormalinvestigations.org. I'll be back on the other side of this news break at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.